वगैरह वगैरह की इस सेक्टर की, इसमें आप मध्य प्रदेश में सरकार में क्या गंभीरता दिखा रहे हैं कि आपकी क्या चर्चा चल रही है इसको आगे बढ़ाने के लिए?
अब करेंगे। मुझे लगता है कि बहुत गंभीरता से इस विषय को हम लेंगे और आने वाला मध्य प्रदेश का जो बजट होगा उसमें भी हम जो आम बजट जो ये भारत सरकार का प्रस्तुत हुआ है, इन सब बातों को ध्यान में रखते हुए भी हम मध्य प्रदेश सरकार का जो बजट प्रस्तुत करेंगे उसमें इन सब बातों का हम ध्यान रखेंगे।
जगदीश जी, जो सड़कों बनाने का, रेल लाइन को बेहतराव करने का, रेल स्टेशन और ये जो वाटरवेज को इंप्रूव करने का, इसमें आपके हिसाब से मध्य प्रदेश में क्या इम्पैक्ट हो सकता है?
प्रदेश का विकास होगा जल जीवन मिशन के लिए भी और जैसे स्टेशनों के लिए भी, जैसे यहां पर भोपाल में जो स्टेशन बना है हमारा, ऐसे पूरे देश में सभी जगह पर इस प्रकार के स्टेशन बनेंगे तो ये निश्चित रूप से विकास की ओर बढ़ते कदम है।
जगदीश जी, एक चर्चा चल रही है कि जो लोग सैलरी कमाते हैं उनके टैक्स स्लैब फिर से बदले नहीं गए, इस पे क्या राय देना चाहेंगे?
मैं तो इतना कहना चाहूंगा कि अभी जो वर्तमान परिस्थितियों को देखते हुए जो बजट प्रस्तुत हुआ है वो स्वागत योग्य बजट है और आगे 25 साल का रोड मैप बना करके यह बजट प्रस्तुत हुआ है।
जगदीश जी, आखिरी सवाल आपसे, क्या आशा है कि इससे जो नौकरियां हमें करनी है स्टार्टअप सेक्टर के लिए, ये जो नई टेक्नोलॉजी सेक्टर के लिए जो अपॉर्चुनिटीज आ रही हैं, इनको आप मध्य प्रदेश में क्या हब्स, क्या एरियाज ऑफ एक्सेलेंस आप देखना चाहेंगे?
ये स्टार्टअप को मार्च 2023 तक टैक्स इंसेंटिव किया है।
और आप क्या आशा करते हैं कि मध्य प्रदेश को स्टार्टअप हब बनाने के लिए आपकी क्या आशा है?
बिल्कुल, हमको पूरी आशा है, हम करेंगे, इस ओर कदम बढ़ाएंगे।
Okay, Jagdish ji, we'll follow up in a more in-depth manner with you. For now, you given a thumbs up to the budget. That's the MP, Finance Minister over there. Ashwajit Singh from IP Go Global joining us on the broadcast. Ranjit Mehta is back with us. Ashwajit, hi, thanks for joining us. What's your first takeaway before I ask you some specifics?
I think first of all, the intent is very clear that this is a growth-oriented budget focused on getting jobs. I overall would say that she's making the right, passing the right message definitely. Given that unemployment is one of our largest problems that is facing the country, there are a lot of positives in this budget. Looking at Northeast, looking at funds coming into capital expenditure. I'm a little disappointed at the fact that not much has been spoken about the social sector schemes. There's been maybe it'll come out in the details. We don't know what's happening to Narega. We were expecting a urban basic, safety net as well, especially in light of what was happening to the migrant labor. I don't find that anywhere on the budget. Health sector, which we've seen is one of the most important sectors over the last 2 years, and a substantial enhancement was done last year on the health budget. Okay. We don't see very much.
Ashwini, how do we explain record direct taxes, record GST? I mean, literally record this month, and yet no room to figure out tax slabs for salary people.
Yes, but that we need those kind of funding right now. See, remember, we are just more or less back to the pre-consumption, the consumption level that we were at pre-pandemic. So really, when we are comparing and saying that GST collection is the highest ever, remember the fact that we're not really comparing it with something that's in a buoyant economy. It's the highest ever because by the time we really stabled our GST collections, pandemic came and they dropped.
Okay, by the time we figured out how to collect them, then we couldn't collect them for 2 years properly, and now we are finally being able to collect them. Okay, quick thought on the point of conversation we were having right before this. Cryptocurrency.
I think again, one more thing.
Rajiv ji, just one second. I'm coming straight to you. On cryptocurrency, Ashwajit, a digital crypto, rupee, 30% taxes on all virtual assets. I mean, that's an asset class that's officially been born today.
Absolutely, and we had to do that if we are looking at talking about being part of the global economy, and we've been ignoring crypto till date, ignoring the digital currency till date. So that had to happen, and that I think is a very positive step.
Okay.
I'm also very pleased with the fact that she has spoken about the digital economy, be it also the integrating the post offices with the banking sector. I think that
okay,
is
this
very,
interoperability which has been revolutionary under UPI, it's genuinely been revolutionary. Basically, post office bank accounts where you put post office savings to transfer them and connect them to the same financial system that UPI runs and banking system runs and NFTs and RTGS runs is going to start happening. That's a huge thing. It's a very small.
That to me is a bigger game changer than anything else. Because when we talk about
couple of interjections. Rajiv Gupta, go ahead.
So basically, I have been hearing this in terms of the highest tax collection. See, we have to understand that if we have to make capex, on one side, you see, we start to say the same things in the same, in one breath we try to say a lot many things, and we want to, the finance minister to be a magician. That can't happen. You need some revenue to spend. And if you are talking about infrastructure growth or something, there will have to be money which will have to be collected to spend on that.
Okay.
Even now, if you really see,
we were told at the beginning of the speech that we are going to be trusted as citizens, and this budget taxation is going to be based on trust. Gaurav Agarwal, so many conversations we had right before the budget on how to engage that trust, how to get people to voluntarily pay taxes. We discussed the LPG scheme as a good example. What do we do from here?
I think there will have to be more surveillance now.
Let Gauravji take that. Gauravji, go ahead.
See, the only tax proposal which I see that finance minister has reposed her trust in the taxpayers is that earlier we were not allowed to revise our returns. Now she has proposed that the returns can be revised or it can be refiled within 2 years after the end of relevant assessment year. So it is something that it's a welcome proposal where taxpayers are given a choice. If they have made some mistakes and they want to refile their returns, they can do it.
Okay,
other way around,
other
way around, I don't see much of the thing which is coming up directly for the taxpayer, but since it's a futuristic budget,
okay, Ranjit Mehta, how am I feeling good about being trusted as a taxpayer today?
I couldn't hear it. Can
how
you
am I
please
feeling better about being trusted as a taxpayer now?
Well, you are saying that how we can really have more trust with the taxpayers?
Okay, we'll get that audio connection with you sorted out. I don't know what my PCR crew is struggling desperately with this for. It should not be that complicated. But Joyita, let me get to you. How are you feeling better as a trusted taxpayer?
Well, I think it's definitely welcome that, this compliance thing, and for 2 years as a trusted taxpayer. I mean, let's face it, lots of people, there are mistakes in our, tax filing also and returns also. So yes, it definitely helps. I don't know whether I'm feeling better or not, but yes, it's a bit of a relief that next time someone somewhere mucks up your tax returns or Form 16 or something, then there is a provision.
Okay, so are we getting where we are embracing, a new way of doing things? She's spoken a lot about fintech, about agri-tech. So clearly companies that are in fintech and agri-tech are going to be favorites both for punters and stock market players. Arjun Khazanchi, are we seeing a government and a country embracing new technology through a policy statement, which is what this budget eventually is?
Certainly, I think our country was always one which has been a cradle of innovation ever since the start, whether it's ancient times or whether it's the new Silicon Valley in Bangalore which is coming up. We've always been a cradle of innovation, and I think the government is just being a good steward in carrying that legacy forward. And I think by the new innovations, by the introduction of taxation on crypto and not making it a disincentive by introducing this 40% tax slab that everyone was talking about, I think these are very, very positive moves. The way they've embraced fintech as a whole and the way that they're about to streamline supply chain management, the introduction of banking with post offices like my colleague just pointed out, I think all of these things are just great, and it points out a very forward-looking government. Okay,
Ashwajit, are we embracing new technology? EVs, crypto, are we understanding what the fintech guys are doing?
Absolutely. I think India has always been one of the front runners when it comes to embracing new technology. We are world leaders in IT. If you see the number of startups in India, we are now amongst the top startup country in the world. You see the unicorns, India is getting unicorns. So we are moving ahead. However, again, I come back to my original point that 1% of our population is controlling 40% of the wealth. So at the same time, we cannot just have a few people getting richer without the overall social.
Okay, but this is the thing: the few people who are getting richer are seeming to parking their money abroad, and it's the people who have that TDS who actually end up paying for everything, which is rather odd.
One more point, Rishabh. One more point I want to make. You spoke a lot about the budget. Spoken a lot about the capital expenditure.
Yeah.
And we're talking of 2.9% of the GDP, a figure of 35.4% enhancement over last year. But in the same tone, she also said, which is 2.2 times of what was actually spent last year. So last year we actually were only able to spend about 2/3 of what we'd allocated in the budget for the capital expenditure. Now my fear here again is that while a lot of allocations have been done at the right place, whether it's the MSME that allocations be done, whether it's been some of these capital expenditure schemes, some of the infrastructure schemes.
Okay.
At the end of the day, it's the results and the impact.
Okay, it's the results. So when she says effective capital expenditure, we were just discussing that. Does that mean money spent or money allocated to be spent?
Yeah. So yes, right now it is money allocated to be spent, whereas last year itself we were not able to spend what was allocated for capital expenditure. So that's my fear, that we have to make sure that this year around we are able to spend the money that's being earmarked for capital expenditure, be it at the national level, be it at the state level, be it even supporting the MSMEs, because if you're looking at job creation, it's not just the MSME who have to look after their own livelihood, but if you're looking at about 7 to 8 crore people plus in the MSME sector, even if they end up having small businesses and become job providers,
okay. Yamini, are you finding this a new generation? Entrepreneur, startup, Gen Z, gig economy sort of friendly approach?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. We'll have to wait and see what ease of doing business actually means. But every single point out of the 1,000 or 1,500 waivers would be huge, definitely, in unlocking time as well as capital. I think though some of the goals that we've set for ourselves, for example, 65 lakh jobs, new jobs in 5 years, is very, very underwhelming. Ola has 25 lakh drivers, right? Every year 45 lakh jobs get created in the country anyway based on the current pace of growth. So much more aggressive targets could be set up here in terms of what this actually distills to. But yes, it's definitely more...
Okay, Ajay Datta, there's been some intervention in data centers, at least the power aspect of them hosting power, captive power, which is a conversation we were having in great detail. There's been some talk of animation industry, of course EVs, of course crypto, fintech, agri-tech. Are we creating an environment for disruptive technologies?
Yes, of course, and without that moving forward is not possible. Rishabh, I want to bring one truth fact today out of the budget. Digital currency is coming up as a digital rupee. Madam has said very clearly. So rupee is going to be there in our hand. It will be in digital form. It is going to be tradable. That is also she has said. And it is going to make the digital transactions easier. So the key here is we are going to have that in our hand. So there is no confusion there. Related to the digital other currencies, she has put a tax on that. So if you want to trade a Ethereum or a blockchain there, that may not be available as a currency to you to do the business, but that will be an asset class available to you to do
so it's all digital. I'm assuming NFTs also now will attract a 30% tax on gains. Okay, let me try once again. Ranjitji, if you can hear us, are we showing to our own community of entrepreneurs and investors that we are embracing new technologies? Okay, clearly he still can't hear us. PCR crew is so badly struggling. What's the problem? I can't figure it out. Let me get Sanjay Agarwal to take that same thought. Sanjay ji, are we showing friendliness?
Sanjay ji, unmute.
Unmute.
So if you can unmute yourself, we'll have a very difficult time doing the telecast. Who's in PCR right now figuring this out, please? It's impossible to have a conversation like this. Can you hear us or not hear us? So what's happening? Really difficult to have a straightforward conversation. Gauravji, I'll have to come to you. Are we showing an approach, friendly approach?
Obviously, yes. See, lot many things are going on. We are seeing that there are certain incentives which are given to startups. There are certain incentives which are given to MSMEs. We are seeing that EVs are getting a boost. Then we are seeing that green bonds. FMS talked about the green bonds also. So lot many things are happening, and then it's a very big thing which has been done today, that there is a new asset class which has been defined. So that obviously gives a futuristic approach to the budget, and obviously we should hope that this budget
I got a few minutes
is
left. Okay, I got a few minutes left before I need to take a break. Mr. Khazanji, come back in. Are we assuming that a bunch of young entrepreneurs have something to get excited about the vision of this government over the next 25 years? Because a lot of things that are in a disruptive technology space are going to be the wealth creators in the next 5 or 10 years. Is an exciting environment being presented, or is it better that government keep out of the way?
We definitely don't need to assume or anticipate. If you just open up Twitter right now, all of the young entrepreneurs and people in our space are extremely thrilled and extremely delighted with the formalization of this space through taxation. And I think the next 25 years seem to be very, very positive overall with the way this space is growing. And I think in the next coming weeks, the stock market is also going to reflect that.
Okay, so having reflected this, where does the instruct, because she's spoken specifically on fintech, spoken especially on agri-tech. We know what has already happened with edutech in this country. Where is then the energy coming? We have not addressed, the AR, VR economy which is coming our way in a major way. We've not discussed quantum computing. We've not discussed AI. Do all of these need to become, Arjun, areas of interest?
It certainly does, and I think the Prime Minister announcing a large amount of pushing about certain funds towards the development of foundries to develop chips natively in India is going to be a good bedrock to actually develop AR, VR, because all of these are going to be powered by smart chips, and these require immense amount of capital expenditure and a certain amount of time and expertise and development of that skill set. We already have the intellectual capital and the financial capital. It just needs to be deployed so that we can build a good bedrock for these tech.
Okay, Joyita, how do we then create that forward-looking environment? Because we spoke so much about R&D is important. So we are saying, let's get the roads and the railways right. Okay, let's be innovative of how you're going to fund that. Of course, you need to build the houses and provide the water. But in an era when from salt to satellites, you have to figure out everything. How are we creating an assumption then that Government of India is path-breaking on fifth industrial revolution economies?
Well, I think this itself is, the very steps that have been taken today in terms of the digital space. That is the fifth industrial revolution economy, and I mean, it's good that we have woken up to it. In fact, we have woken up to it for some time now when we have started this whole digital India thing. But you see, this total blockade that was there towards this crypto and all, it's good that this has been removed.
Okay,
if you
so some
remember,
clarity is there. Okay.
Time back, they were in Parliament talking about, we are never going to have something like that, and there was an uproar against it. So I think this is a huge forward-looking making step.
Okay, I think reluctantly we know the RBI's position has not been very enthusiastic on this, but I think different logics have prevailed. Mr. Sriram, come in on this. Have you seen the induction?
Just mention
Joyita, finish your thought.
one thing. You see, I think the bureaucrats are not very happy. With all due respect to Dr. Ajay Dua, of course, but I think it is the ministers took the initiative.
Okay, Mr. Sriram, what do you make? Is this a technology embracing, forward-looking approach?
Absolutely. I love this move where they said the crypto, indirectly is regulated now. That's the first movement which has given very positivity in the entire market, all these individual trader, the young millennials who are interested in buying the cryptos and trading around it. So that's somewhere I don't know how would that will turn into a profit for them or maybe wealth for them, but that will actually create a lot of awareness about the fintech, a lot of awareness about managing the finances for this all young millennial nowadays who needs that majorly, right? The sad story around crypto is 30% tax, which is higher in terms of if you look at other countries which are 20, 25% or 20% max, where we are talking about 30%.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Sriram, quick thoughts. So 5G rollout, we don't have clarity on when it's going to happen, but we are being told the acceleration is going to happen this year, especially for made in India 5G technologies. Have we come up with an alternative to made in China, to Huawei?
Absolutely not. There are ways where all the traders understand and everybody knows how this is being, handled. Apart from the China, but looking at the technology and the, how the startups are shaping up the technology over here in India,
Okay.
that nothing would be the challenge for us
Okay,
right now.
okay. Ajay Datta, 5G, quickly.
5G is a game changer. Hopefully we will have made in India technology. This is going to change everybody's life for sure, and to an unimaginable speed and an unimaginable way. So we have to have this sooner than later for sure, and it is going to impact in every part of life, not to limit anything there, whether it is agriculture or the space or the VR or the metaverse of the world. Everywhere is going to space, and I think we are not going to be very, very late there. We are going to get it very, very soon.
Okay, Ashwajit, on 5G.
Yeah, no, I agree with it that it would be a game changer. I would be a little cautious, and I'd say it's not going to come right away, but I think the step is in the right direction, and 5G, along with, of course, some of the other innovations that or forward-looking steps that we've taken. I think if I was to just summarize, this is probably the booster that the Indian economy actually needed.
Okay, I've got a few minutes left to our panelists. Mr. Mehta, I'm going to try one last time to reach out to you. I'm hoping you can hear us. What are the pros and cons? How would you rate this budget as we take a break, sir?
The best thing in this budget is, number one, it is a visionary budget. As the Prime Minister said, it is focusing on India at 100 years. And there's a tremendous focus on infrastructure through PM Gati Shakti as being the overarching authority in this. So, which is creating a multi-modal transport system, because in India right now the logistic cost is very high. To bring down the logistic cost, to make our businesses competitive globally, it is very important that we reduce the logistic cost, and that can only happen by creating a multi-modal transport system, not by on a piecemeal basis. Secondly, the climate change, the focus on the clean energy, because we are addressing the climate change, it is very important. And thirdly, the adaptation of government, the welcome step of government for the transformational technologies like 5G and drone and all. These are very, very good initiatives that we have to adopt.
Okay, Mr. Agrawal, quickly, your last thoughts before we take a break.
I think it's a futuristic budget covering all sectors of the economy, be it be agriculture, be it be education, healthcare, MSME sector, be it be railways, be it be future green technology. So I think it's a futuristic budget, and let's hope that it will crop results in future to come ahead.
Okay, Sanjay Agarwal, quick thoughts, overall picture.
Overall, I think what I really find interesting is this absolute emphasis on infrastructure, on Gati Shakti. I think the numbers, of course, do not match the expectation built up by the speech.
Okay.
We are looking at 6.5 lakh crores. It could be much higher. We need at least 20 lakh crores to be spent on infra, whether it is Gati Shakti or national infra pipeline. That is what we need. That's the need of the hour, especially after your deficit is down by 7 lakh crores because of the high revenue collections. That's where we need to spend the money.
Okay, Sanjay ji, where do you think that we need a little bit more energy during the course of the year? The budget exercise is now over, right? Where do we need more energy over the course of the year? Your colleagues often mention the MSME space. Something has been happening there, but which sectors do you think require urgency still?
You see, MSMEs, I think ECLGS and CGM-TSE, what they have done is very good. That was a scheme which was languishing, but what we really need to look at is the contact dependent sector in hospitality and services. Those are the people who are the biggest sufferers, and they are also mostly MSMEs, and that's the area where we need some very special packages.
Okay, but when they say they're expanding the packages both in scale and duration, which has been done today, is that translating on the ground, and if not, how do we make it translate better?
You see, the ECLGS scheme has been a pretty big success. It's 5 lakh crore. I think only a part of it is now left unexhausted. That's why they have only added 50,000 crores for now. What is really important is to have increased the period by 1 more year. And I think what is needed is to increase the coverage of that ECLGS scheme so that more and more MSMEs are able to take advantage of that. The other part is the CGM-TSE scheme, which had been announced earlier with a lot of fanfare but didn't really help the MSMEs much. Now that they are saying that they are totally revamping the scheme and they are making sure they're going to be able to spend 2 lakh crores through that scheme. I think that is very welcome, and we really look forward to it.
Okay, I can tell you what the opposition in this country, Sanjay ji, has picked up on, and they picked on the fact that the salary class hasn't gotten much. So it's an easy target, soft target on that front. We have Shashi Tharoor with us. Let's quickly listen in.
हमारे साथ कांग्रेस के वरिष्ठ नेता शशि थरूर जी हैं। शशि जी, किस तरह से देखते हैं बजट जो पेश किया गया है आज?
देखिए, बहुत डिसअपॉइंटिंग बजट है। इसमें तो कुछ नहीं रहा। जो भी हम प्रतीक्षा कर रहे थे हमारे देश के लिए, हमारे आम आदमी के लिए, हमारी जनता के लिए, कुछ नहीं मिले इस बजट में। ये तो गीला पटाखा है, कोई आवाज नहीं निकले इससे।
किसानों को लेकर,
महंगाई के बारे में, ना टैक्स रिलीफ हमारे मिडिल क्लास के लिए। इस बजट ने मनरेगा का नाम भी नहीं लिया भाषण में। 1.5 घंटा बात करके मनरेगा का बात नहीं लिया। बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ कुछ नहीं सुना। लोगों को मदद करने के लिए कोई भी, हमारे देश की सुरक्षा लिए, जब भी चाइनीज आक्रमण चल रहा है, चीन के आक्रमण, सुरक्षा के बारे में, डिफेंस के बारे में वो शब्द भी नहीं निकाला अपने फाइनेंस में, अपने वित्त मंत्री के मुंह से। तो पता नहीं इस भाषण में क्या दिखा रहे हैं आम आदमी के लिए, क्या बताना चाहते हैं। हमें तो इसमें कुछ नहीं देखा जिसके बारे में हम खुश हो सकते।
10 में से कितना अंक देंगे इस बजट को?
2।
तो राकेश कुमार सिंह, इंडिया न्यूज, दिल्ली।
Okay, not unexpectedly, Shashi Tharoor and Randeep Surjewala have all given this budget a big thumbs down. We'll be listening to opposition leaders as well for their opinion. But across the course of the next 1 hour, we're expecting the CEO of Niti Aayog, we're expecting 2 state finance ministers, the railway minister, the MOS Railways, all joining us in the course of the next hour or two. So stay on with us. I'm going to take a very, very short break. We're back in just a couple of minutes.